The courtroom buzzed with whispers, the kind that slithered between marble columns and curled around the necks of the curious. Cameras clicked like insects. The accused stood alone, her uniform stiff, her hands trembling. Her name was Rosa Delgado, a maid who had worked for the wealthy and eccentric financier Charles Whitmore. She was charged with theft, accused of stealing a rare sapphire cufflink worth more than her entire year's salary. Whitmore, tall and silver-haired, sat smugly behind his lawyer, eyes gleaming with the satisfaction of spectacle. Rosa didn't have a lawyer. She couldn't afford one. Her public defender had dropped out last minute, citing a scheduling conflict. She stood there, a single mother of two, with no one to speak for her. The judge frowned, the prosecutor smirked, and the bailiff looked bored. The trial was expected to be swift. Whitmore's testimony was damning, and the evidence, though circumstantial, was enough to sway a jury. The cufflink had vanished after a party. Rosa had cleaned the study that night. Case closed. Until he walked in. He wasn't dressed like a lawyer. His jacket was worn, his boots scuffed. He carried a satchel that looked like it had survived a war, and it had. His name was Elijah Grant, a single dad, a veteran of 2 tours in Afghanistan, and a man who had once been called a genius by a professor who taught him cryptography in a dusty tent under mortar fire. Elijah had no law degree, no credentials, but he had something else, a mind that saw patterns where others saw chaos, and he had a reason to be there. Rosa had once helped him, years ago, when Elijah had returned from war, broken and jobless. Rosa had given him food from the Whitmore kitchen, risking her job. She had watched his daughter, Lily, when he couldn't afford daycare. She had treated him like a human when the world saw him as a shadow. So when he saw her face on the news, accused and alone, he packed his satchel and walked into the courthouse. "I'm here to speak," he said to the judge, voice steady. "You're not on the docket," the judge replied. "I'm a witness, and I have evidence." Whitmore's lawyer scoffed. "This is irregular." But the judge, intrigued by the man's calm defiance, allowed it. Elijah approached the bench and opened his satchel. Inside were photographs, timestamps, and a small device he had built himself, a scanner that could read the magnetic signatures of objects. He had used it to track the movement of his daughter's lost bracelet once, and now he had used it to scan the Whitmore estate during the party, where he had briefly worked as a security consultant. "I was there," Elijah said, "not as a guest. I was hired to monitor the perimeter. I scanned the study before and after the party. The cufflink wasn't stolen, it was misplaced." He showed the judge a series of readings. The cufflink had moved from the study to the guest bathroom, then to the laundry chute. It had been swept up with linens and sent to the basement. Rosa had never touched it. The courtroom fell silent. Whitmore's lawyer objected, but the judge overruled. Elijah's data was precise, his logic airtight. He explained how magnetic resonance could track metallic objects, how the cufflink's unique signature had been logged, and how Rosa's cleaning route never intersected with its final location. Then he turned to Whitmore. "You accused her because it was easy," Elijah said. "Because she's poor. Because she's brown. Because you thought no one would speak for her." Whitmore's face flushed. The judge called for order. Rosa wept. The jury deliberated for 10 minutes. "Not guilty." Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed Elijah. He didn't stay. He walked Rosa to the bus stop, handed her a card with a job lead, and hugged her children. Then he disappeared into the city, back to his small apartment where Lily waited with the drawing of a superhero labeled Dad. The story made headlines. Veteran genius saves Maid from false conviction. But Elijah didn't care for fame. He cared for justice, and for the quiet dignity of those who clean up the messes of the powerful. Rosa got her job back. Whitmore was investigated for perjury. And Elijah? He went back to building things, the quiet machines that saw what others missed. Hidden truths, forgotten people. And every time someone asked him why he did it, he said, "Because someone once saved me, and I never forgot."